Hello, everyone. Before we begin, listen closely to how one difficult family situation unfolded and what it taught everyone involved. Here we go.
The woman trying hardest to stop my wedding was standing beside me in the family photo. By the time that photo was taken, I was legally married to Ethan, and my sister Claire was no longer invited to family events. That sentence still feels too clean for what happened. It leaves out the confusion, the excuses, and the way I kept smiling because I wanted to believe my family was helping me build a future instead of quietly pulling it apart. My name is Nora Bennett. I'm 29. I work as a patient services coordinator at a medical clinic in Portland. And on June 6, 2026, I married Ethan Cole at Cedar Ridge Estate, a small venue outside Hood River. It was supposed to be simple, about 75 guests, close family, longtime friends, good food, flowers we could actually afford, and enough room in our fixed $24,000 budget to start married life without immediately regretting every centerpiece. Ethan and I were paying for everything ourselves. The venue deposit was $4,800. Catering was $8,100. Flowers and rentals came to $2,650. I had all of it in color-coded binders because that's how I handle stress. If something scares me, I make a spreadsheet, print it, and put it behind a tab. Claire knew that about me. She was my older sister, and for most of my life, I trusted her practical advice without asking for proof. She was a residential real estate broker, confident with contracts, vendors, and difficult conversations. When I got engaged, she was the first sibling I told. I thought that meant something. I thought asking her to help with the wedding was a way of saying, "You're still the person I turn to." Claire offered to manage the shared planning email and keep the vendor contact sheet organized. She said she could protect me from confusing terms and last-minute mistakes. I was grateful. I was also relieved to have someone who seemed completely certain when I wasn't. Then the advice started changing. The venue was too small. The flowers looked cheap. Ethan was too relaxed about money. I should verify every decision twice. I should be careful about what I signed. Claire said these things with a light laugh, as if she were only being an experienced older sister. I kept explaining them away. That's the part I have to own. I noticed the pattern before I understood it, and I chose the explanation that hurt least. Then, on May 29th, Maya noticed that a delivery instruction in the planning account had been changed. A floral order was being redirected. I laughed and called it a clerical error. I didn't know yet that the first warning to Ethan would come from someone who had been copied on our wedding schedule. Claire had always been the person in my family who knew what to do next. If a restaurant reservation went wrong, Claire could get us a better table. If a contractor missed an appointment, she knew exactly what to say. If Mom needed help with paperwork, Claire arrived with a folder, 2 pens, and the calm expression of someone who had already solved the problem. I was the younger sister who made lists and then apologized when anyone had to look at them. So when Ethan and I started planning our wedding, it felt natural to let Claire help. She was 34, a residential real estate broker in the Portland metro area. And she talked about weddings the way she talked about houses. She knew which details mattered, which vendors were flexible, and where people usually made expensive mistakes. Our wedding was going to be small, about 75 guests, mostly close family and friends. We were paying for it ourselves, with a fixed budget of $24,000. Ethan and I had agreed that the money needed to cover the parts we cared about without turning one day into a financial burden. The venue deposit was $4,800. Catering was $8,100. Flowers and rentals together were $2,650. I had those numbers highlighted in 3 different colors. Claire called that adorably organized. Then she'd add, "But organization isn't the same as experience." At first, I smiled. That was my usual response with Claire. I'd smile, tilt my head, and tell myself she was being practical. When we chose Cedar Ridge Estate, a small venue outside Hood River, Claire studied the website on my laptop and leaned back. "It's pretty," she said. I waited. That usually means the service fees are hiding somewhere. They're all in the contract. "Did you personally read every page?" I had. Ethan had too. We'd gone through the contract at our kitchen table in Southeast Portland, line by line, with takeout containers between us. But Claire's question made me feel like I'd claimed I could perform surgery after watching one medical drama. She suggested 3 other venues. All of them were farther away. 2 were more expensive. One had a grand staircase I didn't want, and a guest minimum we couldn't afford. When I said Cedar Ridge still felt right, she laughed lightly. Okay, it's your day. I'm just trying to keep you from regretting the first big decision. That sentence became a pattern. When I chose a florist, Claire pushed for a more expensive package with taller arrangements and additional rental pieces. You don't want the room to look unfinished in photos, she said. We don't need the room covered in flowers. You say that now. When I showed her the simpler package, she pointed at the total and said, "That's not where I'd economize." I remember looking at the number on the page and thinking, it's not economizing if it's what we can comfortably pay. But I didn't say that. Instead, I asked the florist whether we could add candles later. Claire also began asking questions about Ethan's money. Not directly at first. She'd mentioned something she had supposedly heard about his work. Then watch my face. Does his firm have reliable contracts right now? He's a civil engineer. He's doing fine. I'm sure he is. I'm only asking because people can look financially stable and still be carrying things. Ethan isn't hiding anything from me. She lifted both hands. I didn't say he was, but she kept asking, did we have separate accounts? Had we discussed the mortgage? Was Ethan contributing enough? Had he always been this careful? Or was he suddenly careful? Because we were getting married. The questions landed differently depending on the day. Sometimes they sounded like concern. Other times, they sounded like tiny drops of water, wearing a hole in my confidence. The truth is, Claire had reasons to be on edge in those years. Her real estate work had become inconsistent, and she'd gone through a broken engagement that left her embarrassed and guarded around family gatherings. I knew she hated being asked whether she was dating anyone. I knew she worried about being left behind while everyone else moved forward. I knew all of that, and I felt sorry for her. What I didn't understand was that sympathy can become a blindfold when you're using it to explain away every uncomfortable moment. Claire could make me feel criticized and cared for in the same afternoon. She organized our engagement dinner in Portland and somehow remembered that Ethan's father preferred a quieter table. She called the restaurant twice to confirm the menu. She brought a small cake from a bakery I loved and gave a toast about how proud she was of me. Everyone said she was being an amazing sister. I believed them. After that dinner, Claire offered to manage the shared planning email account and vendor contact sheet. She said it would reduce the number of messages I had to sort through at work. I was a patient services coordinator at a Portland medical clinic. Some days, I barely had time to eat lunch, so the offer sounded generous. I can keep the vendor information clean, she said. You'll still approve everything. I'll just handle the traffic. Ethan asked whether I wanted to share access with anyone else. I said, it's Claire. That was my answer to too many questions. It's Claire. She's family. She knows weddings. She's trying to help. Maya didn't trust the arrangement as quickly as I did. She worked as an assistant manager at a Portland stationery shop and had a talent for noticing details people thought were invisible. One evening, while we were comparing place cards at my dining table, she asked, "Who changed the floral delivery instructions?" I looked up from my binder. "What do you mean?" She turned her phone toward me. The planning account showed that the delivery location had been altered. Instead of the venue's receiving area, the instructions directed the florist to a different address nearby. The change had been made on May 29th. Maya frowned. "I thought you said the florist was delivering directly to Cedar Ridge." "They are." "Then why does this say otherwise?" I logged in and checked the message thread. There was no note explaining the change, no vendor confirmation. Just a revised instruction and an account activity record showing that someone had accessed the planning email. I felt a quick pinch of alarm, but it passed almost immediately. "Maybe the florist updated it," I said. Maya gave me a look. "Or Claire did it by accident," I added. "She's been handling a lot." "Did she tell you?" "No." Maya tapped the screen once. "Then ask her." I did laugh, but it came out nervous and thin. "It's probably nothing." That was the first time I saw a problem clearly and chose not to examine it. I changed the delivery instruction back, sent the florist a confirmation, and told Maya I'd ask Claire about it later. I didn't ask that night. I didn't ask the next morning either. Instead, I sent Claire a heart emoji and thanked her for helping keep everything organized. By then, I had mistaken access for trust and confidence for competence. I didn't know that someone with a copy of our schedule was already preparing to use it against us. And within days, Ethan's phone would ring from a number neither of us recognized. On June 4th, 2 days before our wedding, Ethan was standing at the kitchen counter, trying to fix the cabinet door that had been crooked since we moved into our townhouse. He had one hand on a screwdriver, and the other holding his phone when it rang. The number wasn't saved. He almost let it go to voicemail. Then he glanced at me and answered, "Hello?" At first, he didn't say anything. His expression changed, not dramatically, not in a way a stranger would have noticed. But I knew Ethan. His shoulders went still. The screwdriver lowered onto the counter. He put the call on speaker. A voice said, "You need to investigate Nora before you marry her." My stomach tightened. Ethan looked at me, then back at the phone. "Who is this?" "You're being misled about the money." "What money?" "The wedding, the accounts, everything." I remember staring at the color-coded binder open on our table. The green tab marked budget had a printed spreadsheet tucked behind it, with every deposit, payment, and remaining balance listed in neat rows. Ethan's voice stayed calm. "If you have a specific concern, state it clearly." The caller gave a short, humorless laugh. "She's going to leave you with the bills once she gets what she wants." I felt the words hit me before I could even make sense of them. Ethan asked, "What exactly do you think she wants?" There was a pause. Then the caller said, "You'll find out." The line went dead. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. The kitchen refrigerator hummed behind me. A car passed outside on Southeast Division. Somewhere upstairs, the dryer beeped because I had forgotten to take out the towels. It was an ordinary evening, and someone had just tried to place a question mark over my entire life. Ethan picked up the phone and checked the screen. "It's a prepaid number," he said. I heard the carefulness in his voice, and that hurt almost as much as the call. "So you think there's something to investigate?" His head came up immediately. "No, but they said I'm hiding money." I heard what they said. "And you asked what they meant." "Because I wanted them to identify an actual fact." I folded my arms, though I wasn't trying to be defensive. I just needed something to hold together. "You could have said, 'That's ridiculous.'" I could have. The room went quiet again. Ethan set the phone down between us. "Nora, I don't believe an anonymous caller over you, but I also don't want to dismiss something just because it makes me uncomfortable. If there's a real issue, we should verify it together." That was the reasonable answer. It was also the answer that made my eyes burn. I had spent months trying to make sure every detail was visible. I'd shown him the budget before we signed the first contract. We paid from accounts we both could access. The venue deposit was $4,800. Catering was $8,100. Flowers and rentals were $2,050. The total budget was $24,000, and we were staying inside it by saying no to upgrades we couldn't afford. There wasn't a secret, but the caller hadn't needed a secret to cause damage. They only needed Ethan to wonder whether one existed. "I don't want our marriage to start with you investigating me," I said. "I don't want that either." "Then what do we do?" He reached for my hand, but stopped before touching it. "I want to review everything with you, not because I doubt you, because I want the truth to be stronger than whoever made that call." That distinction mattered. I knew it did. Still, I went upstairs and brought down the binder with a nervous smile I didn't feel. We sat side by side at the table and opened every section. The venue contract, the catering agreement, the floral invoice, our payment confirmations, the spreadsheet showing what had been paid and what remained. Ethan checked the numbers against the bank records on his laptop. I watched him scroll, then pause, then scroll again. "Everything matches," he said. "I know. I know you know." That almost made me laugh, but it came out as a breath. We checked our joint account, our individual contributions, and the automatic payments scheduled for the week after the wedding. There was no hidden credit card, no unexplained transfer, no major financial secret waiting to ambush him at the altar. Just our actual life, documented down to the dollar. By 10 o'clock, the binder was closed. Ethan rubbed his forehead. Who would know enough to say the venue deposit? I looked at him. He didn't say Claire's name. He didn't have to. Claire knew the venue deposit because she had asked about it in March when she was pushing us toward a more expensive location. She also knew about the catering balance because she had access to the shared planning email. And she had been telling me for weeks that Ethan wasn't naturally good with long-term financial planning. At the time, I thought she was being protective. Now her comments rearranged themselves in my memory. The next morning, I woke to a message from Claire. It arrived at 7:14 a.m., just as I was pouring coffee. Hey, don't overreact if Ethan seems distant today. Wedding stress can make people say things they don't mean. Try to keep everything calm. I read it twice, then a third time. There was nothing openly cruel in it. No accusation, no confession, just a gentle warning from my older sister. Arriving less than 12 hours after a stranger had told Ethan I was hiding money. I carried my phone into the bedroom. Ethan was buttoning his work shirt. Did you tell Claire about the call? No. He took the phone from me and read the message. His face didn't harden. Ethan rarely showed anger that way. Instead, he became very quiet. She knew I might seem distant, I said. Or she guessed. She said not to overreact. I see that. And she's the person who keeps telling me you're unreliable with money. He looked at me carefully. Do you think she made the call? I wanted to answer immediately. I wanted certainty. I wanted to say yes and have the whole ugly shape of it become clear. But suspicion wasn't proof. I think the timing is wrong, I said. And I think we've been explaining away too many things. Ethan nodded. I agree. That agreement scared me more than if he'd argued. We sat on the edge of the bed, still in the middle of getting ready, while rain tapped against the window. Our wedding was 48 hours away. Guests had travel plans. Vendors had schedules. My dress was hanging in the spare room inside a garment bag, and my vows were printed on cream-colored paper in the top drawer of my nightstand. Everything was moving forward, and suddenly, someone was trying to make us stop and look at each other with suspicion. Ethan took a screenshot of Claire's message and saved it with the call details. We don't confront her today, he said. Not without more information. You're sure? If we're wrong, an accusation could damage your relationship with her permanently. If we're right, confronting her before we understand what she's done gives her time to rewrite the story. I hated that he was thinking strategically. I hated even more that he was right. So we agreed on 3 things. We wouldn't argue with Claire by text. We'd preserve every message. And if another warning came, we'd document it instead of reacting in the moment. I left for work with the uneasy feeling that the call hadn't been meant to reveal a secret. It had been meant to create one between us. The next morning, Ethan received another anonymous message. He read it once, then turned the phone toward me. It said, "Investigate Nora before you marry her. I have proof of her real intentions." Ethan looked at me and said, "I believe you, but I need to know why someone thinks this will work." Ethan didn't answer the second message right away. He read it once, then set his phone face down on the kitchen table like it had become something fragile. Outside, a delivery truck rolled past our southeast Portland townhouse, and the sound faded down the street. The message was short. "Investigate Nora before you marry her. I have proof of her real intentions." That was the substance of it. No name, no proof attached, no explanation of what my supposed real intentions were. I stared at those words until they stopped looking like language and started looking like a door someone had opened into our private life. "I believe you," Ethan said. I looked at him. But I need to understand why someone thinks this will work. That hurt more than I wanted it to. Not because he had accused me. He hadn't. He'd been careful from the beginning. He asked questions about the budget, and we checked everything together. He never demanded passwords or acted like I had to prove my innocence. Still, there was a difference between believing me and knowing what was happening. And I didn't know either. We carried our laptops to the dining table. My color-coded planning binder sat between us, open to the vendor contact sheet. The page was full of yellow highlights, handwritten notes, and one small coffee stain from the night Claire had helped me sort delivery windows. Claire had offered to manage the shared planning email back in January. "You already have enough on your plate," she'd told me. "Let me handle the vendor back and forth. I'm good at getting people to respond." At the time, it had sounded generous. I was working full-time at the medical clinic. Ethan was dealing with a demanding transportation project, and the wedding details seemed to multiply every time I crossed one off, so I gave Claire access. That decision sat in my mind differently now. Ethan opened the account activity log. The shared planning account recorded sign-ins, device descriptions, and changes to messages or vendor records. I had seen the feature before, but I'd never studied it. I assumed the account was too ordinary to be worth worrying about. The first unusual entry was dated May 29th, a login from a laptop identified with Claire's home internet connection. I leaned closer. She was supposed to be at the florist that day. "Do you know that for sure?" She texted me that she was meeting them. Ethan scrolled slowly. There's another entry 12 minutes later. A delivery instruction had been changed. The original note told the floral vendor to deliver to Cedar Ridge Estate on the morning of June 6th, with the venue manager's name and phone number included. The changed version directed the order to a different address in Beaverton and listed Claire as the contact. I felt the room narrow around me. "That's why Maya called me," I said. She said the florist was confused. Ethan looked at me. "What did you tell her?" "That it was probably a clerical mistake." He didn't say anything. I hated that silence because it didn't feel judgmental. It felt accurate. A few minutes later, Maya arrived carrying a canvas tote and 2 coffees. She took one look at our faces and skipped her usual greeting. "Please tell me the anonymous person sent something stupid enough to identify themselves." Ethan turned the laptop toward her. Maya read the activity log, then pulled a folder from her tote. I brought copies. Copies of what? Everything I saved from the planning account before we lost track of the changes. She spread the papers across the table. The original floral delivery instructions, the first rental confirmation, the seating draft before Claire marked it up, a vendor message showing the correct catering balance. Maya tapped the floral document. This is the version from May 28th. Claire's changed version came through on the 29th. I saved the original because the account was acting weird. "You didn't tell me you saved all this." "You told me it was probably a clerical mistake." She gave me a look. I didn't want to be dramatic and announced that I was archiving evidence of a possible stationery-related conspiracy. A short laugh escaped me, but it disappeared almost immediately. Ethan compared the documents to the account log. The changes weren't random. A delivery location had been altered. A rental quantity had been reduced. One vendor had been told that Claire was authorized to approve substitutions. None of those changes had caused a disaster yet. That was what made them so easy to dismiss. They were small enough to explain away, but important enough to create confusion at exactly the wrong time. Then Ethan opened the message he had received that morning. He read it again, this time looking at the wording. "Real intentions," he said quietly. "Where have we heard that?" I looked at the page in my binder. Claire had used similar language the week before when she questioned the catering contract. She'd stood in our kitchen, holding a printout of the menu, and said, "I'm just saying you should verify everything before you commit. People can have very different intentions around money." At the time, I'd smiled nervously and told her we had it handled. Now the phrase felt less like advice and more like a fingerprint. Maya sat down. "Nora, this doesn't prove every problem came from Claire. I know. But it proves she changed at least one instruction without asking. I know. And the message uses language she's already used with you. I know." My voice came out sharper than I intended. Maya stopped, and I immediately felt guilty. "Sorry," I said. "I'm not angry at you." "I know," she said. "You're angry at the part of yourself that kept explaining things away." That landed harder than anything else. I had spent months protecting the idea that Claire was helping me. If I admitted she had crossed a line, I also had to admit that I'd handed her the opportunity. Ethan closed the laptop. "We need to talk about something before we talk to Claire." I looked at him. "What?" He didn't answer immediately. His quiet changed. It became the kind that meant he was choosing every word. "You said you wanted full disclosure." "I do." At the engagement dinner, when Claire saw me, she paused. I remembered it clearly. The dinner had been at my parents' house in Beaverton. Claire had been carrying a stack of plates from the kitchen when she looked through the doorway and saw Ethan. There had been a brief silence. Then she laughed lightly and said, "Wait, you're Ethan Cole, right? Oregon State?" I'd thought it was a normal college connection. Claire had told me they'd been acquaintances. Ethan rubbed his thumb along the edge of his phone. "She looked familiar to me, too," he said. I recognized her. My stomach tightened. "From where?" "Campus." "That's what she said." He shook his head. "Not just campus." I waited. Claire and I knew each other better than that. The kitchen seemed suddenly too warm. Maya shifted in her chair, but she didn't interrupt. I tried to make the facts fit together. Claire, 34. Ethan, 31. Oregon State. A 5-month relationship. A private history that had apparently existed before I ever met him. "What does better mean?" I asked. Ethan looked directly at me. "Claire and I dated." I didn't speak. He continued before I could ask, his voice careful, but steady. "It was in 2015. We were both at Oregon State. It lasted about 5 months. I ended it because I wanted a committed future, and she didn't want the same thing." I looked down at the table. Claire had told me they were acquaintances, not old friends, not former classmates who had lost touch. Acquaintances. She had recognized him at our engagement dinner, understood exactly who he was, and still let me believe their history was nothing. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "I thought she would." "That doesn't answer the question." "No," he said. "It doesn't." His honesty didn't make the omission disappear. If anything, it made the empty space around it more visible. Ethan explained that after the relationship ended, they lost regular contact. He said he hadn't known Claire was my sister until I showed him a family photo several months after we started dating. When he recognized her at the engagement dinner, he assumed Claire would explain it herself. "I was embarrassed that I hadn't mentioned it," he said, "and I didn't want to make the dinner about an old relationship." "You let me stand there and listen to her call you an acquaintance." "I know." "Did she ask you to keep quiet?" "No." "Did you two talk privately after the dinner?" "No." "Are you still in contact with her outside the wedding planning?" "No." I believed his answers, but belief wasn't the same as comfort. I needed him to understand that the problem wasn't only what Claire had done, it was that he'd made a decision about what I needed to know. "I'm not upset because you dated before me," I said. "I'm upset because you knew she was connected to your past, and you let me find out only after she started sending warnings." "I understand." "Do you?" He nodded. "I should have told you that night." Maya quietly gathered the papers into one stack, giving us the space to have the conversation without leaving. Ethan reached across the table, but stopped before touching my hand. "I never believed what that person said about you," he told me. "But I did understand that my silence gave Claire room to shape the story. I'm sorry." I wanted to pull away from him. I also wanted to hold on. Both feelings existed at once, so I asked the question that mattered most. "Did Claire know who you were when she volunteered to help with the wedding?" Ethan's face tightened. "Yes." The answer was immediate. "How do you know?" "Because when she first offered to manage the planning account, she said something only someone who knew me back then would know." "What?" He hesitated. Then he said, "She called me by the nickname she used in college." I felt the last of my excuses fall apart. The changed delivery instructions, the questions about my budget, the warnings about Ethan, the careful claim that they had barely known each other. This wasn't one misunderstanding. It was a pattern I had kept calling coincidence, because the truth would require me to make a choice. Ethan opened the laptop again and turned it toward me. "Before we confront her," he said, "we need to decide what we're willing to do with what we find." I looked at Claire's login, the altered vendor records, and the anonymous message sitting beside them. Then Ethan said the words that changed the wedding, our family, and the way I understood the woman standing beside me in every childhood photograph. Claire wasn't just someone I recognized from campus. She was my former girlfriend. I didn't sleep much after Ethan told me the truth about Claire, not because I thought he was secretly in love with her. He had answered every question I asked, even the ones that made him uncomfortable. He told me about the 5 months they dated in 2015, when they were both at Oregon State. He told me he ended it because he wanted a committed future, and Claire didn't. What kept me awake was the silence afterward. Claire had known who he was. She had recognized him at my engagement dinner, recognized him well enough to know the private nickname he'd used in college, and still let me believe she was just being helpful. Ethan hadn't known what Claire planned to do, but he had known enough to realize there was history. He'd assumed she would tell me. That assumption had put me in the middle of a secret I never agreed to keep. By morning, I was angry at both of them for different reasons. I told Ethan that over coffee in our townhouse kitchen. My voice shook, but I didn't soften it with a nervous smile. You don't get to decide that something is harmless just because you're not hiding it for a bad reason. I know, he said, and you don't get to wait for the perfect moment to tell me something this important. I know that too. He didn't argue. That helped, but it didn't erase anything. I asked him what Claire had said when they broke up. I asked whether she had contacted him after they lost touch. I asked whether he had ever compared me to her, even privately. He answered carefully, sometimes taking a moment before he spoke. They had dated for approximately 5 months. After he ended the relationship, they lost regular contact. There had been no secret messages between them during our relationship. And he said he hadn't considered Claire part of his life when he met me through the trail maintenance project in Portland. But when she appeared at the engagement dinner, he recognized her. I should have told you that night, he said. I thought she'd explain it herself, and then every day I waited made it worse. That's exactly what happened, I said. Every day made it worse. He nodded. Then he reached across the table, but stopped before touching me. I'm not asking you to skip being angry. I am angry, I said. I'm also still marrying you. Those things can exist at the same time. His eyes filled, and he looked down at the coffee between us. I love you, he said, and I'll spend as long as it takes proving that I'm not going to protect you with silence again. That wasn't a grand solution. It was a promise with work attached to it. At that point, work was the only thing I trusted. Maya arrived later with 2 paper bags from the stationery shop and the expression she wore whenever someone had created a problem that could have been avoided with a password change. I brought muffins, she said, and copies. The muffins are for emotional support. The copies are for preventing further emotional support. I almost laughed. She spread the documents across our dining table. The original floral order was there, along with the rental quantities, the seating draft, and the catering contact sheet. Each one showed what we had approved before the changes appeared in the shared account. Maya had saved everything before we even knew we needed it. You're not going to confront Claire with a stack of papers and hope she suddenly becomes honest, Maya said. I wasn't planning to. You were considering it. I was considering several emotionally satisfying options. Good. Consider them privately. Ethan opened his laptop and pulled up the account activity. We looked at the timestamps again. Claire's home internet login appeared shortly before the changes to the floral delivery instructions, rental quantities, and vendor substitution authorization. Then came the anonymous message to Ethan. The wording had bothered me from the beginning. The sender had said Ethan needed to investigate my real intentions. Claire had used that same phrase more than once when she questioned my budget and my commitment to the wedding. Maya tapped the screen. That's not a coincidence, she said. I gave a short, humorless laugh. Apparently, sabotage is what Claire calls help. Ethan didn't react to the joke. He was scrolling through the vendor records. We need to stop her access now, he said. That was the first decision we made without debating whether it would hurt Claire's feelings. We changed the shared planning account so only Ethan and I could sign in. We saved the activity log and downloaded the current vendor documents. Maya kept backup copies on a separate drive. And I printed the contracts for the venue, catering company, florist, and rental company. Then Ethan drafted an email to every vendor. He wrote that, effective immediately, only Nora Bennett and Ethan Cole were authorized to approve changes, substitutions, delivery instructions, quantities, or payment information. No verbal request from another person should be accepted, even if that person claimed to be acting on our behalf. I read the message twice before sending it. It felt severe. Then I remembered that a floral order had already been redirected, rental quantities had been changed, and someone had tried to make my fiancé question whether I was financially honest. Severe was not the same as unreasonable. The venue manager replied within 20 minutes. She confirmed that Cedar Ridge Estate would honor only written changes from Ethan or me, and asked us to provide identification when we arrived for the final setup. The florist and rental company confirmed the same thing. That practical response steadied me more than any family reassurance could have. We weren't trying to punish Claire. We were making sure she couldn't alter our plans again. After that, I called my mother. Elaine answered on the second ring. I could hear the television in the background, then the click of it being turned down. Is everything okay? No, I said. But the wedding can still be okay. There was a pause. I told her enough to understand the situation. I explained that Claire had accessed the planning account and changed vendor information. I told her about the anonymous warning to Ethan and the evidence connecting it to Claire's account activity. I also told her that Ethan and Claire had dated in 2015. My mother was quiet for several seconds. Claire told me they were acquaintances, she said. She told me that too. I didn't know. I believe you. That distinction mattered. I wasn't going to accuse my mother of helping with something she hadn't known about, but I also wasn't going to let her turn the situation into another request for everyone to stay calm and move on. Claire can't manage anything else, I said. She can attend as a guest if we decide that's appropriate, but she won't have access to the account, vendors, schedule, or toast. Elaine exhaled. She's going to be very upset. I know. She'll say, "You're humiliating her." I'm not doing this publicly. I'm setting boundaries privately. Another pause. Then my mother said, "I'll support the boundary." That was the first time I heard her choose a position, instead of asking me to wait until Claire felt better. We agreed that there would be no confrontation before the wedding, no family group message, no dramatic phone call, no sharing the evidence with relatives who didn't need to see it. The three of us decided the facts could be discussed after the ceremony, in a private family meeting at the Beaverton Public Library. The room was neutral, quiet, and available the following week. Maya wrote the date in my binder. I added a note beneath it. Evidence, not performance. Ethan saw it and gave me a tired smile. You really do have a category for everything. Not everything, I said. I'm still working on a category for former girlfriends who impersonate wedding administrators. Maya pointed at me. That one goes under access control. For a few minutes, the room felt almost normal. Then my phone lit up. Claire had sent a message. I know things are tense. Please don't overreact before you understand what I found. Attached was a photograph of a printed packet. My stomach tightened. She didn't say what was in it. She didn't mention the account changes or the warning to Ethan. She didn't ask why we had removed her access. Instead, she wrote that she would bring the packet to the rehearsal dinner that evening, because everyone deserved to know the truth before the wedding. Ethan read the message over my shoulder. Maya took a breath and said, "There's the performance." I wanted to cancel the dinner. I wanted to tell Claire not to come. I wanted to send every document back to her with a sentence explaining that she had lost the right to manage anything connected to my marriage. But the dinner was for our closest family and friends. It wasn't a courtroom, and Claire's packet wasn't going to become the center of it. I typed a reply. You may bring it. I won't argue about it in front of guests. We'll review it through facts and written records after the wedding. Claire responded almost immediately. Fine, but don't say I didn't try to protect you. I stared at those words until they blurred. Protection didn't look like a prepaid phone call. It didn't look like hidden access or altered contracts. It didn't look like making Ethan afraid that I had a secret life he needed to investigate. Still, I put my phone down and closed the binder. The wedding was 2 days away. The truth was finally in the room with us, but that didn't mean the danger had passed. It meant we had to decide what we would do. When Claire walked through the door carrying her version of it. And that evening, she arrived at the rehearsal dinner with a printed packet pressed against her chest, ready to prove that Nora and Ethan were making a mistake. By the time we arrived at Cedar Ridge Estate on the morning of June 6th, I had stopped expecting Claire to surprise me. That didn't mean I knew what she would do. It meant I'd finally accepted that waiting for the next problem was part of the problem. The venue sat outside Hood River, surrounded by open fields and low hills that looked almost blue in the early light. Normally, I would have noticed every detail. The wooden arch, the rows of white chairs, the way the morning sun reached across the gravel path. Instead, I was holding my planning binder against my chest and checking the vendor confirmation sheet for the third time. Nora Bennett and Ethan Cole. Ceremony at 4. Original seating plan. Original toast schedule. All changes required written approval from Nora or Ethan. Maya had highlighted that last sentence in yellow. "Read it again if you want," she said beside me. "The paper will still say the same thing." I gave her a nervous smile. "I know. That smile means you're about to apologize to a table." "I'm not apologizing to a table. You apologized to the florist's delivery van yesterday. It was blocking the driveway. It had no feelings." I almost laughed. Almost. Then the venue manager, Linda, came quickly across the lawn. She was holding a printed page and looking toward the main building. "Nora, I'm sorry to bother you," she said. "Could I speak with you and Ethan privately?" My stomach dropped. "What happened?" Linda glanced at the page. "Claire came in a few minutes ago and presented herself as the person authorized to make final changes. She said you approved a new seating arrangement and that she was taking over the reception toast." For 1 second, I couldn't process the words. I just stared at her. Claire had arrived before us. She had walked into the venue with a packet, a plan, and enough confidence to make someone question the paperwork already in front of them. Ethan stepped closer. What changes did she request? Linda showed us the page. Several table assignments had been crossed out. The head table had been altered. The toast schedule had Claire listed as the person coordinating speakers, and beside her name, someone had written, "Bride's sister, family authorization." I felt a tightness move through my chest. "I didn't approve any of this," I said. Linda nodded immediately. "That's what I told her. Our policy requires written confirmation from either of you." She said you had given verbal approval and that the paperwork was outdated. "It isn't," I said. "No," Linda replied. "It isn't." That simple answer steadied me more than it probably should have. Claire had always depended on certainty, on speaking first, on making the other person feel unreasonable for asking her to prove what she claimed. But Linda didn't argue with her. She checked the policy, and the policy was on our side. Ethan took a photo of the page, then handed it back. "Please don't change anything. We'll confirm every schedule and placement in writing." "Of course," Linda said. "Claire is waiting in the side room. I asked her not to contact any vendors or staff until we clarified this." I looked toward the building. There was a time when I would have rushed inside and begged Claire to stop. I would have asked what she was trying to fix, what she thought I had done wrong, whether she was upset with me. That morning, I didn't want to understand her before protecting the day. I wanted the day to remain ours. "I'll speak with her," I said. Ethan touched my elbow. "Not alone." I nodded. Maya folded her arms. "And not in front of the guests." That was the first decision we made together that morning. No public confrontation. No raised voices. No dramatic announcement. The people arriving to celebrate us didn't need to become witnesses to a family argument. We asked Linda to keep the original schedule in place and to accept changes only from Ethan or me. Then we went inside. Claire was standing near a small table with her printed packet open in front of her. She wore the blue dress she had chosen for the wedding party, and she looked completely composed. That almost made me angrier than if she'd been crying. She glanced at us. "There you are. I've been trying to prevent a disaster." I looked at the papers. "You changed the seating chart." I corrected it. "You changed the toast schedule." I organized it. Someone had to. "Linda said you told her I authorized these changes." Claire gave a light laugh. "Nora, don't make this bigger than it is. You're under enough stress already." There it was again, the soft voice, the practical advice, the suggestion that my objection was just another sign I couldn't handle my own wedding. Ethan stepped forward. "You were not authorized to change anything." Claire's expression shifted when he spoke. Not dramatically, just enough for me to notice. "I was trying to help you," she said. "No," Ethan replied. "You were trying to take control." Her eyes hardened. "That's a convenient interpretation." I opened my binder and placed the authorization page on the table between us. Only Ethan and I can approve changes. That was sent to the venue, the florist, and the rental company yesterday. Claire glanced at it, then looked back at me. You really think a form proves what's happening here? It proves who has permission to make changes. You're getting married under false assumptions. The room went quiet. I thought about the packet from the rehearsal dinner, the claims Claire had brought, the vague warnings, the way she had said we were making a mistake without explaining what mistake she meant. Ethan and I had decided that morning that we would not let her turn every accusation into a separate emergency. We would review the documents after the ceremony with the family and with enough time to check every claim. So I closed my binder. Claire, you're no longer a part of the wedding party. You won't coordinate the reception, and you won't give the toast. Her face went still. You're removing me today? I'm removing you from responsibilities you were never authorized to take. You're my sister. I know. I've done everything for you. No, I said. You've done some generous things for me. You've also changed wedding information without asking and sent Ethan an anonymous warning about my intentions. Her eyes moved to Ethan. He didn't look away. We have records, he said. The account activity, the message metadata, and the vendor. Changes all point back to you. Claire gave a short, disbelieving laugh. You're treating planning mistakes like some kindy of criminal investigation. We're treating them as evidence, Ethan said. That word landed hard. Claire looked at me again. And you believe him over me. This isn't about choosing one person over another. It always is with you. I felt my hands begin to shake, so I pressed them flat against the binder. No, I said. It's about what happened. For years, I had believed that if I stayed calm enough, kind enough, and flexible enough, Claire would eventually meet me halfway. But flexibility had become permission, and permission had become access. I told her that the venue staff had written instructions. I told her she needed to step away from the wedding operations. I told her she could remain as a guest only if she agreed not to interfere. Claire stared at me for several seconds. Then she said, "You're letting him rewrite your family." Ethan's voice stayed quiet. This isn't about replacing your family. It's about what she'll do to keep you. I felt the words hit somewhere deep, but I didn't let them move me. Before I could answer, Elaine entered the room. She had been helping greet relatives near the entrance, and her face showed that she had heard enough to understand the shape of the conversation. "Claire," she said carefully, "Nora has made the decision." Claire turned toward her. "Mom, tell her this is unreasonable." Elaine looked at me first, then at the papers, then at Claire. For a moment, she seemed to return to the version of herself I knew best, the calm public voice, the request to wait until everyone had settled down. But this time, she didn't ask me to wait. "She has the right to make it," Elaine said. Claire's mouth tightened. "So that's it? Everyone is against me?" "No," Elaine said, "but we are not going to debate this in front of guests." Claire looked from one face to another. "You're humiliating me." "No one is humiliating you," I said. "We're keeping the wedding from being changed without our consent." Her expression flickered, and for the first time that morning, I saw something less controlled. Not an apology, not yet. More like the realization that the usual pressure wasn't working. Ethan asked Linda to bring us to a small office near the back of the building. Maya joined us, along with Elaine. Claire came too, because she said she wanted the truth stated directly. The room was plain, with a round table and 4 chairs. Outside, I could hear staff moving through the hallway and guests beginning to arrive. Ethan placed his phone on the table. "I need to say this clearly," he began. "Claire and I dated in 2015, when we were both at Oregon State. It lasted about of months." Elaine closed her eyes briefly. Maya's expression didn't change. She had already known. I looked at Claire. She didn't deny it. Ethan continued. "I ended the relationship because I wanted a committed future, and Claire didn't want the same thing. Afterward, we lost regular contact. I did not have secret conversations with her during my relationship with Nora." Then he looked directly at me. "I should have told you when I recognized her at the engagement dinner. I thought she would explain it herself. I was wrong to leave that unspoken. The hurt was still there. So was the anger. But he was giving me the truth without asking me to make it easier for him." I nodded once. "I'm glad you're saying it now," I told him. "But we'll talk about that fully after the ceremony." I know. Claire spoke softly. I was trying to protect him. I turned toward her. Protection doesn't require hiding the truth or trying to make us afraid of each other. No one answered. Elaine looked down at her hands. I should have asked harder questions, she said. I kept telling myself that avoiding conflict was the same as keeping peace. It wasn't. It just gave Claire more room to decide what everyone else had to tolerate. Claire's face changed when our mother said that. She didn't argue. She didn't agree either. I took a slow breath. This wedding will not become a public trial, I said. We are going to get married. The ceremony will follow the original plan. The family meeting is next week at the library and we'll review the records once. After that, we decide what happens next. Claire looked at the door. Then Linda appeared in the doorway and said the first guests were being seated. Ethan reached for my hand, and as the music began outside, I realized the next choice was no longer about stopping Claire. It was about whether I could walk toward my marriage without carrying her version of the story with me. Claire stood near the entrance to the reception room with the printed seating chart still in her hand. The venue manager had already explained the policy twice. Only written changes from Ethan or me could be accepted. Claire had neither. She looked at me as if the problem was my tone, not what she had done. I was trying to protect the evening, she said. I felt the old reflex rise in me, the nervous smile, the urge to lower my voice, the instinct to make her comfortable before I made myself clear. This time, I let the reflex pass. Then you can protect it by leaving the schedule alone. Her expression tightened. You're really doing this today? I'm getting married today, I said. That's exactly why I'm doing it. Ethan stepped beside me, quiet but steady. Claire, you're no longer authorized to make decisions for the wedding. Please don't approach the staff about the seating, vendors, or toast. She looked at him for a long second. You believe all of this because she says it happened? No, Ethan said. I believe it, because the records show it happened. That ended the conversation more effectively than any argument could have. Claire placed the seating chart on a nearby table. She didn't apologize. She didn't raise her voice. She simply picked up her purse and walked outside. For one strange second, I thought she might come back and say something that would make the day feel normal again. She didn't. Maya found me a few minutes later in the small room where I was supposed to wait before the ceremony. She had a clipboard under one arm and a look on her face that told me she'd already solved 3 problems I hadn't heard about. The florist is back on the correct delivery instructions, she said. The caterer has the original head count, and your mother is asking whether she should tell people Claire won't be giving the toast. I closed my eyes briefly. Tell her we're changing the schedule, not announcing a family trial. Maya nodded. That's what I told her. A nervous laugh escaped me. Of course you did. Then Ethan came in, and Maya quietly stepped outside. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sounds of chairs moving and guests greeting one another came through the wall. Everything was ready. The flowers were in place. The vows were printed. The rings were in Ethan's pocket. And yet the most important thing between us still needed to be said. I need to ask you one more time, I told him. Are you sure? He understood what I meant. Not whether the ceremony could proceed. Not whether the vendors were under control. I was asking whether he was sure about me, after someone had tried to make him question my motives, and whether I was sure about him, after he had kept Claire's history from me. I'm sure about marrying you, he said. I'm not asking you to stop being hurt about what I didn't tell you. I'm asking you to let me be honest from here on out. I looked down at my hands. I don't want to spend our marriage proving we're not secretly hurting each other. Then we won't, he said. We'll talk before silence turns into a story. That wasn't a magic fix. It didn't erase the omission or the message or the years of history I hadn't known existed. But it was a choice I could understand. I took his hand. Then let's get married. The ceremony followed the original plan. Ethan and I stood beneath the simple wooden arch we had chosen months earlier, with the Columbia River Valley stretching beyond the property and the late afternoon light settling over the grass. I saw my mother in the front row. I saw Maya beside me. I saw empty space where Claire would have stood. That empty space hurt. It also told the truth. When Ethan said his vows, his voice shook only once. Mine shook more than once, but I finished every word. We exchanged rings, signed the marriage documents, and became legally married on June 6, 2026. At the reception, the revised schedule worked. Maya gave a short welcome. My mother spoke about family without pretending everything was perfect. Ethan's colleague offered a toast that was warm, funny, and thankfully free of secret history. Claire didn't return. No one chased her. No one posted about her. No one turned her departure into entertainment for the guests. The staff simply followed the written plan, and the evening continued. A week later, we met at a private room in the Beaverton Public Library. There was a long table, a pitcher of water, and a stack of documents Maya had organized into labeled folders. Ethan sat beside me. Elaine sat across from us. Claire arrived alone. The meeting began with the account activity log. Ethan explained the login from Claire's home laptop on May 29th, the changes made to delivery instructions, and the timing of the anonymous message. Maya showed the original vendor confirmations beside the altered versions. I reviewed the documented cancellation and rebooking costs. We didn't pass the papers around like weapons. We placed them on the table and let the facts speak once. Claire stared at the records for several seconds. Then she said, "I sent the message." My chest tightened, even though I had already known. "I used the prepaid number," she continued. "I thought if Ethan started asking questions, the wedding might stop long enough for Nora to see what she was doing." "What was I doing?" I asked. Claire looked at me. "Rushing into a life with someone who wasn't right for you." "You didn't tell me that," I said. "You tried to make him distrust me." She lowered her eyes. "I know." She admitted changing the planning information, including the floral delivery instructions. She called it help at first, then stopped and corrected herself. "It wasn't help," she said. "It was control." That was the first sentence she had spoken that didn't ask me to interpret her behavior generously. Claire agreed to repay the documented $180 in cancellation and rebooking costs. She also agreed to write an apology without asking me to respond immediately. The repayment would happen in installments because, as everyone at that table understood, no one had unexplained money waiting to solve the problem. Then we discussed the boundary. "For 6 months," I said, "you won't be invited to family events. After that, contact can resume only if Ethan and I both agree, and only if you respect the limits we set." Claire's face changed. 6 months? Yes. That feels like punishment. "It's a consequence," I said. "The difference is that it has an end and a reason." She nodded slowly. I couldn't tell whether she accepted the boundary or simply understood that arguing wouldn't remove it. Elaine folded her hands on the table. "I owe you an apology too," she said. I looked at her. "I kept asking everyone to wait until emotions settled," she continued. "But I used calmness to avoid asking hard questions. I protected the appearance of peace, and that gave Claire room to keep making decisions for everyone." My eyes filled before I could stop them. "I needed you to notice," I said. "I know," she answered. "I'm sorry I didn't." Nothing about that meeting felt victorious. Claire was still my sister. Elaine was still my mother. The wedding had gone forward, but the family arrangement we'd lived inside for years had ended. I told Claire that forgiveness might become possible someday, but it wouldn't be automatic, and it wouldn't come with access to my marriage. "I can care about you," I said, without handing you the keys again. She accepted that more quietly than I expected. When we left the library, Ethan and I walked to the car without speaking. My phone buzzed before I reached the passenger door. It was an email from Claire with the apology attached and a payment confirmation for the first installment. I looked at Ethan, then opened the message, knowing the next part of our marriage would depend on what we did with the truth, now that everyone had finally said it aloud. The first weeks of our marriage were quieter than I expected. There were no dramatic phone calls, no last-minute vendor emergencies, and no family messages asking me to explain what had happened. We unpacked wedding gifts, returned the rental items, and tried to figure out where two people were supposed to put all those serving dishes in a rented townhouse with limited cabinet space. One Tuesday morning, I found Ethan at the kitchen table with his laptop open and 2 cups of coffee beside him. I made a shared folder for the repayment records, he said, not because I don't trust Claire to follow through, because we agreed we'd document it. I sat across from him, and because we're apparently never trusting a spreadsheet again. He gave me a small smile. That too. Claire sent the apology 3 days later. It was not perfect, and it didn't ask me to comfort her. She acknowledged that she had changed the floral delivery instructions, contacted Ethan anonymously, and used information from our planning account to make us doubt each other. She wrote that she understood why the 6-month boundary was necessary. The first repayment installment was attached to the email. I read the apology twice. Then I closed my laptop. I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt tired, and underneath that tiredness was something I hadn't expected. A small amount of respect for the fact that she had finally described her actions honestly. That didn't mean she was invited back into our lives. When my aunt asked whether Claire would be at the next family dinner, I said, "Not yet. Ethan and I will decide together when we're ready." In the past, I would have asked Elaine to deliver that message so nobody could accuse me of being harsh. This time, I sent it myself. It was uncomfortable for about 10 minutes. Then it was simply done. Maya still came by, but she stopped checking every family message before I saw it. One afternoon, she handed me a stack of stationery samples and said, "You know I can support you without becoming the unpaid manager of your boundaries." I laughed. "That sounds like something you rehearsed." "I work at a stationery shop. Of course I rehearsed it." She was right. I didn't need a permanent guard standing between me and everyone I loved. I needed to trust my own judgment again. Elaine began counseling for family communication. She told me she was learning how often she had mistaken quiet for peace. "I thought if I kept everyone calm, I was protecting the family," she said. "But sometimes I was only protecting the pattern." I appreciated the honesty, even though it couldn't erase the years of smoothing things over. Ethan and I also made a promise to speak sooner when something felt wrong. Not every concern deserved a crisis meeting, but every concern deserved a truthful conversation. That included uncomfortable history, money, family expectations, and the moments when one of us was tempted to stay silent to avoid upsetting the other. Our wedding was reclaimed, but the betrayal wasn't erased. Both things could be true. I learned that forgiveness isn't the same as reopening the door, and reconciliation isn't something one person can demand. Trust returns through repeated honest choices, not emotional speeches. Claire may eventually become part of our family life again. If she does, it will happen slowly, with accountability and our consent. The wedding didn't prove that my sister was evil, or that every family conflict has one perfect villain. It proved something more useful. Love needs truth, preparation, and boundaries strong enough to protect it.
My personal thought is that accountability should open the door to a safer and more honest future, not more retaliation. What do you think?